Minecraft has just released the most groundbreaking feature of its entire history. We have been waiting for this feature to be added to the game for over 3 years now. What was that feature, you may be asking? Fireflies. Okay, in all seriousness, fireflies have been a very infamous talking point within the Minecraft community ever since 1.19. They were originally announced to come in that update until Mojang discovered that fireflies are poisonous to frogs. Instead of just making frogs not eat them, Mojang decided to completely remove the feature entirely. This had caused immense backlash, and while I personally wasn't huge on the fireflies themselves, I was definitely against Mojang just not adding a feature they promised. Luckily though, in the most recent snapshots, a brand new item was added called the firefly bush, and if you placed it, there would be firefly particles surrounding it. A lot of people were really happy to see this finally be added after years of backlash, and I personally think they implemented it in a great way. However, that got me thinking about what other features have been cut from Minecraft over the years. Stuff that had been programmed into the game and just got removed over the course of updates. So today, I thought it'd be fun to talk about some of Minecraft's cut features, because I need something to riot over after the firefly. Now you may have noticed that I said some and not all. Unlike my other videos in my cut series, this one is far from being comprehensive because Minecraft has a ton of removed features. So much so that a lot of the articles I looked at didn't even have most of the features I personally remember. So I've just got a collection of the ones that I find to be the most interesting, but maybe if this video does well, I could talk about some more features in the future. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. First up, I want to start with two of my personal favorite features that I remember really liking while they were in the game. Nowadays in Minecraft, we have plenty of different flower types. In fact, we almost have one for every color. Meanwhile, light gray gets 3 greedy bits. Well, back before update 1.7, we only had 2 flowers to work with. The dandelions, which are still in the game today, and the rose. Call it nostalgia, but I have always preferred to look at the rose over the poppy, which is what it was replaced by in update 1.7.2. Now, functionally, they literally do the exact same thing. Both can be used to craft red dye, both can be grown from bone meal and grass, both are dropped by iron golems, etc. So really, this one isn't too big of a loss. After all, you can always just download a resource pack to revert this, which is what I normally do. Plus with 1.21, we at least got a painting to reference the old rose. I'll miss you. But the normal rose isn't the only flower to be removed from the game, and the second one is what I find to be more interesting. See, in the Pocket Edition of Minecraft, they didn't get the normal rose. Instead, alongside the dandelion, they got the cyan flower. Now from what I can tell, this was always meant to be temporary. It was apparently only added because for some reason there were some hardware problems rendering the rose when it was red. I mean, I'd believe it, you see how buggy Bedrock is. Because of that, this flower wasn't actually able to craft any dye, it was purely for decoration. Despite that, I actually really like the look of the cyan flower. Maybe this is also some Pocket Edition nostalgia, but I've always been a fan of this guy. Unlike the rose, there really isn't any other flower in the game right now that captures the same vibe. The cornflower is the closest and is definitely a great flower by itself, but it's a bit too dark to match the cyan flower. So I would honestly love if the cyan flower came back to the game, and I think I have a fun way to do it. Obviously, it could just spawn naturally again, but maybe this could be a good way to give the sniffer another use, because Lord knows he needs it. Nose. Since this is an old flower, it kind of fit with its theme of unearthing ancient plants. No matter how they do it, I know if they announced the cyan flower, I'd be screaming more than I do at a Smash Bros announcement. Oh, no way! No way! Alright, next I want to talk about a few features that were added in snapshots but were dropped from the game before an official update. Whenever I think of removed Minecraft features, one of the first ones that pops into my head is the quiver. The texture for this item existed in the game files since 2009, also known as the first year of Minecraft's existence. Despite that though, this item went entirely unused. I remember seeing so many videos talking about this thing in the early days of Minecraft, and I always wondered if maybe someday it could actually be added. Well, in early 2015, Minecraft developer Dinnerbone revealed that the quiver would be coming in the Minecraft 1.9 update. And then he changed his mind. Clearly this is the worst thing that happened in this update. So yeah, the plan originally was for the quiver to hold arrows, and that would determine which arrow type you would shoot out when using a bow. Dinnerbone removed this because he thought using the offhand would just be easier, which yeah, is probably true, but honestly with the inventory issues we have today, I wouldn't mind having an extra quiver slot. I don't need this to come back, but I certainly wouldn't complain. One item that I've actually talked about before on the channel are the copper goat horns. These were exclusive to the Bedrock Edition, but were only added as experimental features and were promptly removed before the 1.19 update. To get these, you could either find them in pillager outposts or craft them using a goat horn and 3 copper ingots. Now in Minecraft today, there are currently 8 different goat horns, but in this snapshot, there are a total of 20, 10 copper horns and 10 normal horns. That gave us a wide variety of sounds that we could play. Now what sets the copper horns apart is the fact that they could each play 3 different sounds depending on if the player is crouching, looking up, or neither. that meant that there were really 40 different goat horn noises in the game. I'm not going to play them all here, but if you're interested, a video by Exumavoid will be linked in the description. Now, if you've been paying attention, you may have also noticed that there are even 2 normal goat horns cut from the game as well, those being Fly and Resist. Now, I genuinely have no clue why the 2 normal horns were removed. I mean, they seem to work perfectly fine, so why not just include them? As for the copper horns, Mojang said that they didn't align with their design goals. Personally, I don't really see a problem though. I'm not much of a goat horns user, but the more variety the better, I think. As for some features I think can stay dead, we've got a couple that were later replaced by features we have today. First up is the ruby ore. Now immediately you may see the issue with this guy's existence. We already have a red ore. Now granted, there's no rule about having multiple ores of the same color, but when you can, it's probably best to have some visual clarity. The rubies were originally used to trade with villagers, but as we all know, that job was given to emeralds in 1.3's full release, which is a very different green color. There's no reason to bring back the rubies, but I guess if you really want to, you can use a texture pack, though you'd look insane to all your friends.
Check out this ruby I got.
That's an emerald, dude.
Emeralds are green, boy.
This thing is green.
In a similar boat, we also have the zombie pigmen, which were the original version of the zombified piglin. Unlike rubies though, these guys were in the game for ages. They were added back in alpha version 1.2 and were basically the face of the nether up until release 1.16 when they were finally replaced. A lot of people, including myself, are quite nostalgic for the original look, and it is kind of hard to get used to the new name, but honestly, the new version is much better. At least we can all agree they're both better than the original Pocket Edition one. The final pretty useless cut item I want to talk about is the horse saddle. These were added to the game in Snapshot 13W16A and were obviously used to ride horses. They can be crafted using 5 leather and 3 iron, which is pretty notable since normal saddles don't have a crafting recipe. However, normal saddles do exist in the game, so it feels pretty useless to have the horse saddle as well. So by the time of 1.6's full release, this was removed from the game, and I think that was a good decision. But what about some more things that could actually be useful? Well, for that, I want to take a look at the Buzzy Beast update, as it actually had 2 items that were entirely removed. That's basically half the update. The first up is a block known as the wax block, and it was added to the game files by accident during the snapshot phase of 1.15. This would be another yellow block, and it sort of reminds me of the raw gold block. It's not known if this would have had any actual use, but if I were to bet, I think it would likely be a pure decoration block. It's always nice to get more decoration blocks no matter what, but at least in this case I'm not too upset by the loss because like I said, it looks a lot like raw gold. Certainly wouldn't complain if it was added though. Alongside the wax block, another feature that was accidentally added during the snapshots was crystallized honey. Now this was an item as opposed to a block, and it's still not fully known what it was supposed to be. It's speculated that it was going to be a food source, and if that's the case, then I'd say it was pretty much just replaced by the bottle of honey in the final release. Even more than the block, this one really doesn't need to come back. Okay, that's enough about bees. On top of blocks and items, a few structures have also been removed over the course of Minecraft's history. Most of these weren't really intended to stay in the game, but are still interesting to look at regardless. The first of these structures I wanted to talk about is the infamous brick pyramid. This is one of the oldest features in this video, appearing only in the ImpDev version of Minecraft back in 2010. The name of the structure pretty much exactly tells you what this thing is gonna be, a giant pyramid made out of bricks. And I mean giant. This thing was usually 127 by 127 blocks big and went all the way up until it reached a point. This pyramid was also completely filled in, so if you ever found one of these, you'd be set with bricks for life, unless you want to make a 128 by 128 pyramid. Obviously this thing was just too enormous, so the cut makes complete sense. But technically if you want to, you could always remake this. Another ImpDev structure are the obsidian walls. These were only in the game for a period of 2 weeks and would basically go across the entire world on any block with an X or Z coordinate of 0. Basically think of it like the axis lines on your geometry homework that you still haven't done yet. Go do your homework. This looked really ugly and was clearly just there for testing, so good riddance in my opinion. The final structure that I want to look at today came out even earlier than the last 2 in Minecraft, in dev being the spawn house. While this was removed by the time ImpDev came around, it actually changed quite a bit while it existed from early January to late February of 2010. The original version of the house looked like... If you ever doubt your building abilities, just look at this thing. It was made entirely out of mossy cobblestone, and inside the house you could find torches and a few chests containing 99 of every item in the game except for dirt. It was just too hard to find dirt, you don't understand. Later on, the house was updated with a chest containing 54 stacks of TNT and another chest that was exclusively used for wool. Eventually those additional chests were removed for the final version of the house, which also had the exterior changed to look slightly better. I mean, the bar isn't hell, but it is an improvement. Obviously this just acted as a good structure to help players test out all the game's items, as creative mode wouldn't be added for multiple years. There's again no reason for this to come back, but if you really want to, you can just rebuild it. Alright, let's jump back into a few of the cut blocks. One that a lot of people may actually recognize if they played a lot of the console versions of Minecraft is the shrub. Now I know what a lot of you may be thinking, isn't that just the dead bush? Well, it did used to use the dead bush texture, but it actually worked a bit differently. Shrubs were able to be placed on grass blocks, whereas dead bushes could only be placed on sand-related blocks. On the Java edition, the shrubs were also tinted to be slightly green and would match the grass color of the biome it was placed in. The thing is, the shrub couldn't generate naturally, so it was purely a creative creative mode item. Shrubs have been in the game since beta 1.6, but were eventually removed in release 1.13. While that may seem sad, in the 1.17 update, dead bushes were finally allowed to be placed on grass, so it's really not too much of a loss. The green color may have been nice to have, but we are getting actual bushes next update, so I think we'll live. Another block that I'm quite nostalgic for personally is the Nether reactor core. This was exclusive to the Pocket Edition and was its replacement for the Nether. Listen, if it couldn't handle the color red, no way was it handling the entire Nether dimension. To craft a Nether reactor core, you needed 6 iron and 3 diamonds, so it was fairly expensive. And then to actually use the thing, you needed to create a really specific shrine using 4 gold blocks and 14 cobblestone. I know this looks like a creepypasta, but I promise you, this is real. Once this was built, you could click the core and the shrine would gradually turn into this unique glowing obsidian block. Also, I always tried to mine the gold as fast as possible so I could reuse it again in the future. Once the shrine fully corrupted, the areas around the shrine would become entirely encased within a netherrack tower. Then inside the tower, not only would a couple zombie pigmen spawn, but a ton of random items as well. These weren't even just nether exclusives like glowstone dust or quartz, as it even gave out cactuses, mushrooms, bows, bowls, books, paintings, oak doors, beds, pumpkin seeds, and melon seeds. Not really sure the idea behind that, but it just adds to the bizarre nature of this item. After about 45 seconds, the reactor and glowing obsidian would become normal obsidian and the items to stop being spewed out. A few holes would be punched into the tower where it will then be revealed that the reactor core actually set the world to nighttime too. So yeah, this is one of the strangest cut items in this video. It was added to the game in September of 2012 and was used as a nether replacement all the way until September 2015. It's completely understandable why this thing was cut, seeing as Bedrock just has the nether now, but looking back on this, it does make me quite nostalgic. Honestly though, while I don't need the reactor core back, the glowing obsidian block does look really cool. I'd be on board with that returning someday like the crying obsidian did. When we're talking about features that I was pretty nostalgic for, I want to take a look at the super secret settings.
Warning, flashing lights.
Many of you may know that if you possess either an Enderman, Creeper, or Spider in Spectator mode, you'll get a unique filter placed over your screen based on the mob. These are pretty cute, and I like the fact that they went out of their way to add this. However, it didn't used to be exclusive to Spectator mode. In Minecraft 1.7.2, by simply opening the pause menu, you could find the super secret settings, and by clicking the button, a random filter would be applied to your screen. This was a lot of fun to mess around with. Obviously not the optimal way to play, but it was cool to see what all was here. And it also led to the greatest video I have ever made on YouTube. If Funny Dude 1562 was drunk. I got a copyright claim on that video, what's even the point? Sadly though, as this is the theme of the video, the super secret settings were eventually removed in 1.9. Okay, forget the quiver. This is why 1.9 sucks. Honestly, I think it'd be cool if this came back. Maybe make it extra hidden, requiring a button combo on the pause screen or something, but I would be a huge fan if it returned. Okay, now let's rapid fire through some quick ones before we get to our last few big hitters. As many people may know, the enchanted golden apple used to be craftable using 8 gold blocks, but the recipe was removed in 1.9. Again?
You took everything from me.
Honestly though, I think this change is fair. I like enchanted golden apples being rare, and with how crazy gold farms are these days, they would definitely lose part of that identity. One feature I would like to see come back though are the different bell stands. When you place the bell on the ground in current day, you can see that the bars holding it up are made of stone. However, in the Bedrock Edition files, there were some bells found that had polished granite, and diorite sides instead. While obviously not groundbreaking features, they're a nice little detail, so I think it'd be cool if they could come back. Maybe even with some more stone variants like deep slate and tough. I'm not sure how it would work, maybe just add a specific stone type with the bell in a crafting table, but I think it'd be a nice bit of customization. Our next item is actually the predecessor to redstone. Long before it was added to the game, cogs were going to be used instead. They worked a bit differently than redstone, as they could even be placed on walls, which was certainly neat, but I think redstone as is works fine enough. Plus the cogs just looked really messy. They were added in InfDev 0.31, but quickly removed in Alpha 1.0.1 alongside the addition of redstone. The final block of this rapid fire round are the dirt slabs. These look exactly like you'd expect, half a dirt block. Originally they were planned to replace dirt and world generation, but yeah, that didn't work out. Even still though, the dirt slab would have been incredibly useful for builders, especially when terraforming. However, I highly doubt Mojang would ever pull the trigger on adding these back. They seem pretty set on keeping slabs to just wood and stone related blocks. If they do go out of their way to add it one day though, I would love multiple variants of the different types of dirt and grass as well. But now let's get back to some of our bigger features, and I actually want to take a look at some mobs. Now I'm sure some of you would count the mob boat losers for this, but there were actually a few mobs programmed into the game that just got deleted. First up is actually the oldest feature in this video, being added to the game on May 13th, 2009, within a couple days of Minecraft's public opening. By pressing the G button in this version, you would be able to summon Steve. Yeah, so as it turns out, Steve was also a mob, and he wouldn't do too much besides just running around, although pretty crazily. He managed to survive in the game up until beta 1.2, and I think it's safe to say that the cut is fair. Now that's not technically the full story, as at some point different variations of this mob were added to the game, and they look really bizarre. These 4 variants' names were Rana, Steve, Black Steve, and Beast Boy. Yes, Beast Boy from Teen Titans is a cut mob from Minecraft. Obviously, I am very happy these were removed because frankly, they don't fit the art style at all. They didn't even have animations programmed, so they looked really cursed just sliding around. But for our final cut feature of the video, I think we have the one that would be the most interesting to return. I've mentioned this in a few different videos before, but one of the most interesting cut features to me are the old colors of wool, or as it was known in Minecraft Classic, cloth. When the block type was first released in version 0.020a, there were 16 colors to start with, which is actually the same amount as what we have today. The color choices though were quite a bit different. Black and brown wool just didn't exist at all, and there were no wools directly called pink, blue, light blue, and lime, though a lot of the wool types here got pretty close visually. Most interestingly though, there's a completely unique color known as spring green, which is a really nice mix between lime and blue. It reminds me most of the prismarine colors that we have today. When we move over to the purplish wools though, we get another unique color. Violet and purple basically both work as slightly different shades for the purple we have today, but rose here is very different from pink. It's a lot more red than the one we have today. Of the 16 wool colors here, I'm comfortable saying that spring green and rose are definitely the highlights as pretty unique colors. In fact, I would love to see them return, and that would also include getting 2 more colors for every type of color block in the game, which may sound like a lot of effort, but the texture for each block could literally be done in seconds. Even me being untalented did it in the time it took me to say this sentence. As for the dyes themselves, sure they could just be craftable, but I think it'd be really cool if they were from flowers exclusively from the sniffer, but only if you can bone meal the flowers afterwards to get more. Again, like I mentioned with the cyan rose, that fit with the ancient flower theme, as these were some ancient colors being removed all the way back in beta 1.2. So of all the features in this video, spring green and rose wool colors are the ones that I would write for the most. But anyways, that's it for this video. Are you a big fan of Rana and hate me for saying she shouldn't come back? Let me know in the comments. Like I said, this is far from a comprehensive look, so if you all enjoyed this video, maybe I'll do a second cut feature video in the future. This collection though were definitely the main highlights in my opinion. Also to the Minecraft viewers, sorry for the massive influx of Mario Kart videos, but I like talking about Mario. But before I go, I've got to thank my members being Shrugface Uwu, The Chicken Man, Milanessa Dezoro, Kid Trunks 15, Wyatt Derpy, Caddy Shroom, Ryan, Miss Jadesalot, Draco Star, Enchanted Skull, Yanni the Duck, SMA, B Major 2003, Arson the Raboot, Sir Musty, Belandor, Puggles Are Fun, Trader Mo, Diluted Colors, Cinder CC, Jade Avery, Pruncel Clone, Thicky Reiki, SJ100, Ingenio TM, CW McCain, Tibby, JubeTube Z, Tesseract, Nuclear, Mr. McMahon 5702, Hippopotamus, Jameson Pageson, Wilbur, Golden Sandslash 15, Zfrost, Stuffy Ant, Justex, Concanut Keep, and Christian Flattery Sequel Edition. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time. Wait, I feel like I'm forgetting a feature. One that's been removed many times. A creature that's been plaguing the Minecraft community for over a decade. Nah, I must just be crazy.